Melonie, thank you so much for joining the conversation today. We're very excited to get to know about your take on your business and obviously how technology has been influencing your space. You know, you're the owner of Linen and Earth Interior Design based out of St. Augustine, Florida. I guess 20 years plus in residential design. Your approach, you do a 3D visualization. Originally from the hospitality sector, we're very excited to have you on board and know more about you and what you do for a living today. For those joining for the first time, maybe you can elaborate on that introduction. Tell us a little bit more about what's the space you're into and what you're doing today.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate that. I've been doing interior design, it seems like my entire life. I've been in the industry for 26 years. And of course, it started as one thing and it's kind of transitioned into another. For me personally, I've always been sensitive to how environments make people feel, and how, design shapes an experience. And I think ultimately it's turned into more of how it feels, but more importantly, how does it structure? How does it perform? How does it perform in your home? How do you perform in your home? And I think over time, that is where I felt like the impact was happening the most, which is why I brought in 3D renderings and things of that nature, because ultimately I'm a designer. I have all the vision in the world, but the average person who is not a designer does not have a vision. So it's really ultimately hard for them to have that vision and, kind of jump into the trenches of design without understanding everything that's involved. So I'm a need to know kind of a person. So interior design, along with pretty, kind of help me to ground who I am and help others ground who they are. It's been something I've always been drawn to.
Amazing. You didn't necessarily had a straightforward line into this field. You started in hospitality. As you made this leap, what was that journey like?
The journey of getting into interior design from hospitality. I've always been big on interior design and how spaces work. And it started with things like, I don't remember the show's name, but where Trading Spaces from HGTV, where they would take one room and then they would shift it into this beautiful space. So I feel like I've always kind of had my eye on it and always was very intrigued by it and very excited about it and passionate about it. Instead of following the corporate world and things of that nature, I decided to go after my passion, because I feel like if you're passionate about something, then you're always going to be excited about it and you're always going to want to do it. So, and that has proved itself true for 26 years of me doing this, because I have never not been excited about it since I've started. And the excitement continues because I feel like it's an ever growing, ever changing space to be in. So to me, I don't know how this could ever be boring for anybody personally. So
yeah, that's amazing. I always love to hear, people that have chosen something that's they're so passionate about, as their career. I think part of, living a life of success, that's a crucial piece, right? That you're doing what you enjoy, what you love to do, and doesn't feel like a job. And if you can make money out of it, then that's, in my opinion, true success. When exactly?
what is the measure of success, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Doing what you love.
I don't think that there's a number, right, that can define it more like
sure.
How am I really spending my time, right? How easy can I get into that flow, and anything that brings out creativity, right? That our expression of creativity, I think it's probably some of the most fulfilling, professions, right? That you can really choose to do. When did that happen for you? When did you realize in your lifetime that you say, this is what I love to do. I love design, or did you enter through another artistic, let's say, interest, and then that landed you into interior design?
So I realized when my friends were like, "Can you help me with my room? Can you help me with my space?" And then I had a baby, and I was like, I don't want to work for someone and have someone else raise my child. So it became very important to me to focus in on how I was going to manage my time for him and go after my passion. I saw my parents struggling my whole life and how they kind of had ruffled feathers and never really felt like they were in a space that they wanted to. And that wasn't something that I personally wanted for myself. So, I would say I started really focusing in on, my career when I had my son, and I thought, I'm not going to leave him.
Well, I guess when we have a huge why, right? And obviously, I think that there's no bigger motivator than your children. I have two
Yeah,
kids of
absolutely.
my own, and you're right. I mean, I think that's probably what's gonna give you the biggest inspiration. Um, what have you learned that so far about the interior design journey? And when I say that, I mean uh, when you practice, right, and you offer your services, uh, what do you find that it's most gratifying about delivering your interior design services to some of your customers?
So, I mean, there's so many things gratifying in it, especially the end result and the clients being really happy. But what I've actually learned is it's not just about pretty, it's about every moving part. So if you're running a car, it doesn't matter how pretty the car is if the engine isn't working. So I started transitioning, I would say, probably in the last 15 years of really focusing in on the structure and the sequence of the actual way that things worked, what didn't work, why it didn't work, why this did work, and try to transition myself into more of a thought-provocative scenario versus, this looks pretty, let me put a flower here. Because ultimately when I started, I started because I wanted to make the room pretty. I wasn't thinking about the logistics of it. I wasn't thinking about how the house was going to function. Did it upset my clients? No. I mean, was it a failure for me? No. But as I grew, I needed to challenge myself a little bit more to be the best in the industry. And I always ask myself, what makes me the red shirt in the white crowd? What makes me stand out? So that started with my 3D journey and trying to really be able to visualize. That started when I did the whole builder viewer thing. I was sitting there one day and I'm like, they just can't see it. They just can't see it. Like, how can I get them to see it? So it started with that. Like, let me build this out. Let me show them what it looks like. Let me get good at this and then make them feel satisfied. And then once that happened, then I was like, okay, well, there's other things here that I'm learning in the 3D world that I didn't really pay attention to in the real world. So it all just all these moving parts started kind of coming together and really just kind of created the foundation that I'm standing on, which led me to rebranding myself to Linen and Earth versus A Colorful World, because A Colorful World is where I started. And now I'm in a completely different space. I'm in a space of formulation as well as design. And I wanted to rebrand myself as what I know now and not as the beginner or the person who had a name that was a beginner. So I separated myself from that.
Amazing. A couple of things that you said there that caught my attention. You mentioned something about also functionality, right? Logistics. It's not just designing for design. You have to kind of have an intention behind it. And you mentioned a little bit about your evolution towards achieving that. It's interesting how technology itself allowed you to build the trust, right, with your clients, as they're able to really get a full picture of what your idea is before they're heavily committed into it. How does that change pretty much the landscape and how you conduct business? How did that process really help you kind of find more or build more trust with your prospects or your clients?
Okay, so let me restate what you just said. You want to know how I built trust with my clients through this process? Is that summed up correctly?
Well, overall, yeah. I mean, I can see how beneficial it is for a client to kind of get to see, visualize what your ideas, right, in a 3D way, right, in a 3D rendering. How does that allow you to kind of build trust? Do you see how your clients are feeling more confident at the moment they make a decision with you?
Yes, absolutely. So, what I struggled with the most before was to get, because I don't know, like, I'm not a very good person with being able to put all the words together perfectly in order to say, hey, A, B, and C, like, this is what it is. So when I started to see them struggling, and I felt like I was a part of the problem, because if I can't get you to understand and visualize exactly what it is I'm trying to sell you, then I'm falling short. And so what I had to do was really rebrand my mind and say, hey, like, what is going to make the change? And so it started with, like, okay, well, maybe builder viewer. Let me show them the inside of the house. Let me show them how the house is going to function. Then into the pretty side of it. Well, how's the kitchen going to function? Because I got in, I learned about kitchens along my career and how they worked. And you never know if you're not educated in kitchens, you have no idea the bells and whistles and the difficulties and the things that cause a kitchen to function and how that might affect the client, right? We have dead space here, but we have a small kitchen. How am I supposed to put my pan somewhere? I don't have any space because there's a dead corner over here. So all of those things, but me being able to take that 3D visualization and put it into real time, as well as showing them the elevations of the kitchens, because I'm now educated on kitchens and how they function. And to be able to give them that picture when I'm on the build, like on a construction site, being able to look at the sight lines and think about how this community is thriving or not, and how much money do you really want to invest in here? Is this for longevity? And all of that, and being able to give them that vision step by step, not overwhelming them like my brain goes on fire and I can overwhelm you in 2 seconds, but in a formatted way to where they can understand next steps. Getting a program in my business to where I can let them look in the back end and know exactly what the next steps are, to be able to see the next steps. So that gives them confidence too, that they know what I'm doing. They can see what I'm doing. They can go back and refer to the things that we talked about. They have the notes, they have the questionnaires, they have all the things that give them the visual plus the 3D. And now they know they're working with a professional. That's the difference that I see now, because now not only do I bring pretty, I bring a whole 26 years worth of education and trials and errors to the table, which then interprets what I'm actually doing for my clients at this point.
Amazing.
I hope I hope that was the answer you were looking for.
No, absolutely. I'll dig in a little bit more. Like, let's say I'm reaching out to Melonie and I say, I'm renovating my house, and I want your guidance in interior design. How does that process look like? And I'm asking this: is this something that you break down a little bit? You kind of try to break down what's in the head of the client, or do you more get to the space and then offer ideas? How does that process look like?
So basically, it starts with let's get to know each other first, because everybody wants to talk about pretty, but we're so far away from pretty right now. I need to know how you live, who you are, how you function, like what's important, all of the logistics before we get into the pretty, because we could do pretty all day long, but if I don't know how you're functioning as a person, then I can't move into the next step. So I make it a point to get to know my clients. And sometimes maybe they're irritated. They don't want to get to know you. They want just you to do a job. But the fact is that if I don't know you, I don't know how to do a job for you. And in order for me to do a thorough job for you, we're going to have to take this time, and we're not going to skip it to get to the part where I'm confident, to where I'm not wasting my time trying to put a design together for you. That's going to be a fail because I have no idea what you like. Someone comes to you and they're like, well, I like mid-century modern. Great. Mid-century modern has a lot of faces. So does coastal. So does this. So does that. So it's a digging game. It's figuring out, asking the questions. I have a questionnaire I send out to them. Answer all these questions. And then there's another questionnaire. And then it's, logistics, and it's all of these things. So I try to really integrate all of these things in the beginning so that in the middle and in the end, it feels flawless. It feels seamless. There's no anxiety. No one's freaking out. No one's unsure. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows the vision, and we're in a good space. So it has to start with getting to know the client. It has to start with that.
Love it. Yeah. Does sometimes personality make an impact in how you maybe offer some of your guidance? Do you have that sense that you read the person and then kind of put the puzzles together?
Yes, I have made it a point in my career that not every yes is a yes for me. Right. That was the hardest turning point of my career, where I had to say no to money and yes to myself, because I knew that there was not going to be an alignment in that communication and with that client. No matter how hard you try, you can sense right away there's friction. It's just not commonality. No matter how you try to approach it, it's problematic. And that's when I have to say, hey, listen, I know you have a great vision, and I know I have one, but I don't know that I'm the great visionaire, or whatever you want to call it, for you. I just want to, maybe think that maybe you should look a little bit deeper in finding the right person for you, because as much as I want to do this job for you, I don't want to fail, and I don't want to fail you, most importantly. So that's where I kind of draw the line.
No, it seems like it's the most responsible thing. I think that, your assessment first comes, maybe, can I work with this person, right? Is this the right fit for me? Because if it's the right fit for you, then you're able to, give the best of you, offer the best expression of you. So makes amazing sense. When your work is both locally and virtually nationwide, how did that model come together?
So I can design anyone's space if I have a blueprint and an idea, right? If I get to know you, you answer my questions, I can design your space. I don't have to be in your town. So if you just need something visual to get you over the hump of, is this what I want? And that's something that I can actually help you with and help you get over that anxiety. There's so much anxiety in this. It's like people think I'm spending all this money, and if I don't get it right, so that what that does is it causes paralyzation in the person spending the money. And then they're afraid to move into a space because they're afraid, oh my gosh, I don't even have a clear vision. And here I'm spending all this money and I don't know if it's going to turn out right. And they're panicked the whole time. And that's not what design is all about. So if you can take that away from someone in California or someone in Arizona or someone in the local town, it gives them peace, and then they're able to move forward in a space where they feel comfortable. And I think ultimately that's my personality. I like making sure that people feel comfortable and sure. And that's where all of this thought process came from, really, is from the soul of who I am. Now, did I
Melonie,
answer that correctly?
yeah, of course, definitely, absolutely. Um, let's talk a little bit about technology. How has it changed the way
Okay.
you work compared to when you started?
Wow. I mean, I'm an 80s kid, right? Like, so everything has changed. I mean, we didn't have social media. Like, I just had the epiphany today that we are we're the last generation that's gonna realize that we lived before social media. Like,
Yeah.
the rest of the generations are coming, and they're gonna be in this social media. So, like, that was a big struggle for me, honestly, because when we went from the standard, hey, I'm gonna show up on time, I'm gonna bring my briefcase, and I'm gonna have it all together, and I'm gonna have all my paperwork ready, and now nothing is like that, right? It's like all technology, all social media, putting yourself out there on social media, speaking on social media, and now we have the whole AI thing, and, it's changed. It's like we were cavemen, and we didn't even realize we were living in cavemen days, because since all of this has come to, integration, we're just like, okay, well, here we are, and this is what we're doing, and you have to adapt. And I think that it's really hard for a lot of people to adapt. But I'm the kind of person that likes to adapt, and I'm the kind of person that likes a challenge. So bring me a challenge, and and that's like the best thing in design for me too. Oh, this is a challenging design. Well, let me have a hold of it. So to me, I feel like it's changed the way that I function and the way that my work functions, but it functions in a way that is more organized and more easy to offer something great so fast, instead of taking days to put something together that you weren't capable of doing fast before. So
In regards to AI, maybe how are you using it, and perhaps how do you see it show up in interior design right now?
So I wrote myself some notes, because I think the first time that you and I spoke, you brought that up, and I kind of froze, because I was like, oh gosh, I'm scared of it. I'm not really scared of it. Let's just say that I know that AI can take over our industry, because the bottom line is it's going to improve what we do. It's going to be able to visualize, but so does Pinterest. Pinterest does the same thing AI does, but Pinterest does it better, because Pinterest is actually real and AI is generated. So I feel like AI is great when you're stuck and you can't figure out like what to write, do a post. They help with posts, and, they help, organize your thoughts sometimes when you're scattered and you want to put it into AI and say, hey, like, put this together for me and help me.
Absolutely.
So basically, the bottom line is, design and sequencing and coordination and budget control. We're going out in the field, and we're giving people peace of mind. AI can't do that, but AI has so much to offer, and I'm really super excited to learn about like exactly what it is that AI is offering, and how it can, it can change our worlds. So, I've watched social media change our world. Now I'm going to watch AI change our world. And quite frankly, I'm excited about it. So
Awesome. Okay, so let me ask you about gadgets and apps, right? There are apps now that you upload a photo of your room and get redesigned in seconds. As someone who does this professionally, what goes through your mind when you see that?
can you repeat the question?
Yes, absolutely. In this day and age where there's a lot of applications coming out, right, for specific industries, there's apps now that you upload a photo of the room and get redesigned in seconds. As someone who does this professionally, what goes through your mind when you see these advancements?
So I'm impressed with how far it's come already, honestly. But when I'm doing a design, I'm literally thinking about the end result for the client, not just an idea. So as much as I think it's great that they can put in their thoughts and say, hey, this is my idea specifically, that would help me have their vision sooner. If they're expressing that to AI, it's not necessarily going to help me, because I have to then go out and I have to source all of the things that I'm presenting. So when I'm putting together a render, it's actual sourced items. It's not actual fake stuff. It's real stuff. And I'm not saying it's, at some point it's probably going to be able to pull all the real stuff and put it in a design. And it probably could right now, but I think I think I lost my train of thought. But I think AI is a beautiful thing, but I don't think it's going to replace renderings for like a designer who does it the way that I do it personally.
Right. I agree with you, Melonie. In a way, the way I see it is that it bridges the gap. So it makes maybe the everyday guy like me have an idea, put it together, the app shows something up, and I can go to the designer and say, hey, I'm thinking about this. This is what come up. And it kind of bridges that, it brings forward a language, right, that maybe you as a designer can interpret much better and then do your work. I think in a way what it does, it's optimizes, right? It kind of accelerates the time, but from let's say the idea to the reality, that's where real people like you are going to be able to bridge that, right? It's not just putting it in paper, it's what can be done realistically also, right? So I think that, in a sense, it could be scary because we just don't understand where some of these nuances can really disrupt, yet at the same time, it facilitates, right, your craft, because you have maybe a point of reference that you can follow that thread or follow through with that thread. So I agree with you 100%. And this is translatable to many industries. I think that if we talk about a general consensus, right, about AI, and funny that you're touching on this, right, because I think that probably the most common fear about AI that everybody's having is, oh my God, it's taking my job, or I'm going to be obsolete. And maybe that's true for the same people that are actually developing the AI. That's interesting, but for other industries, it's just allowing us to leverage much more and much more. So, are there parts of running your business where you'd actually welcome AI? Meaning, are you seeing things where AI can even leverage more, right, of what you're doing right now? Or maybe even help more, right?
I would say, yeah, because I feel like, at some point it's going to have streamlined visualization, instant concept renderings, more DIY experimentation, higher demand for strategic designers and things like that. So I think that at some point it's going to have all these things working for us. I don't at all see it being problematic in our industry if the truth is known. It's a joke for me because I really don't think that it's problematic. But what it will be is I can hire a chatbot and have them organize my numbers and stuff like that. So in the future, I feel like once once it starts learning and it really starts understanding all of the things that it's being taught, like, we're going to be able to give all the stuff over and say, can you please take care of this for me? And then you can focus on what matters most. And that's design, instead of focusing on all of the logistics, because that, as a designer, as someone who has an art mind, that's painful. It's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. Please, someone else. Like, this is not my thing.
Yeah.
So, right. I think that ultimately, I think we're heading in a good direction, because, everybody was afraid of social media too, right?
Yeah.
And they still have their opinions about it. But I've watched our children thrive in entrepreneurship and stuff like that in this generation. Like, I feel like some of it is like, I mean, forgive my quote unquote saying, but dumbing them down a little bit with socialization. But on the flip side, they're more focused way sooner than we were. They're achieving things way faster than we did. And they're really putting themselves out there in ways that we never did. And so to me, I feel like there's always a positive with every negative.
Yeah. Great point that you actually put there, Melonie. Probably I don't give it as much thought as I should, but I think about it this way, and it's exactly what you said. There's more entrepreneurs under the age of 25 than ever before. And obviously social media ever before. And then obviously social media, huge, because now they're innate. They know how to use it. And then AI comes along and speed up the let's say, planning process, imagination, the execution. So we're into a super hyper accelerated era that we're walking into, where we're just a clicks away from turning ideas into real concept, real breathing, living concepts. Just to go back to, and you mentioned another amazing point, whereas, I'm an artist and I have to deal with all these logistics. And I think that once we have the data in a place where, that specific industry can dive in, and find out information about where do I get these textiles, or how do I purchase this wallpaper specific, and everything converges in a way that is quicker, faster. You find the best deals. It's really going to bring down the cost, which is going to rise the demand in a way that. So I was saying it's really going to accelerate the demand for some of these services that we often thought that they were exclusive, right, for a certain society or certain, class. And it's probably going to make it more accessible to, let's say, a bigger audience now, because it might reduce price and bring more volume to the people that are actually in the artistic part of the practice. So let me ask you, Melonie. Well, just a couple of quick questions. We'll wrap it up. What's one thing people get wrong about hiring an interior designer? What's one thing people get wrong about hiring an interior designer?
What's one thing that people get wrong about interior designers? Is that the question?
About hiring an interior designer, yes.
Oh, okay. I think a lot of people just think that we're coming in to help them with the pretty, and they don't understand the sequence, and they don't understand the logistics behind the sequence, and they don't understand, if I don't make this choice now, that this is going to harm me later. My biggest fear with people is them discounting us as a whole, because they just think, oh, well, I could do that all day long. But there's so much more to being a designer than just making a space beautiful. And I can't speak for other designers and how they design and what they do and how they are in the process. But it's taken me years to get to this space where everything, every stage, every sequence, every pattern of design matters, to make sure that in the end, when I leave, that client is they've changed their mind about a designer, number one, because some people hire us because they just don't feel like doing it, or who knows why they hire us. But I think it's really important that they understand that there's a real reason why we are in a career here and that we do what we do, and it will help. Same thing with working with builders, with clients who can't make up their mind. Hire me as a consultant. I don't know, because I can help with the sequence. I can help them understand why it's important. So I think too many people dummy us down a little bit, or just don't understand what it is that we actually bring to the table.
Great point. Listen, Melonie, it's been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for being so real and offering incredible insights in your industry, and also how technology is really, converging, right, and changing the way that you perform work, or has been even changing throughout your career. For those that maybe want to know more about your services and maybe want to reach out to you and see what you can do for them, how is the best way that they can contact you?
So my website is linenearthinteriordesign.com. And my email is the same, except it's at Gmail. And then I'm always on LinkedIn as well. So
amazing, Melonie.
I can give my phone number. Should I give my phone number?
If you want.
You can find me on Linen and Earth Interior Design.
There you go. I think so too. Well, listen, Melonie, again, it's been fun. Sorry for the network issues, but we'll make sure that we polish this episode and it'll be fine. Well, thank you again for joining. We'll be in touch, and it's been a pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.